Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This week, we're talking about how to beat mental burnout and how to keep our training consistent. So we see oftentimes people get into training sessions or into training periods, and they might start off hot, but then they end up just crashing mentally. So this episode is all about how to stay on track so we can continue that progress down the road. I'm joined this week with Jimmy, and Coach Andy could not be here. So Jimmy, welcome. Glad to have you on again this week.
Appreciate having me on, Ben. Appreciate it.
Nice. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So when we think about mental burnout, like I said, so often we see that in training, derails a lot of people's training progress. We have to first understand why we are training. So we've talked on here a couple times before about training versus exercising. And training is when we have a specific goal in mind, why we have specific sessions, specific sets, specific reps, all into our program, working towards that end goal. Exercise is when we go out and we think, oh, I just want to burn X amount of calories. I just want to get hot and sweaty. I want to feel exhausted. But there's no real end state for us. So if we're going out day after day and we are just exercising, that is going to be the easiest way for us to have that mental burnout. And honestly, probably pretty quickly. It's easy to go hard for 6 weeks straight, but it's really hard to go have smart training for 52 consecutive weeks. Jimmy, would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. But my thing is, a lot of people feel like they need constant change, but good training is doing the same things over and over and over again. When you look at high-level athletics or high-level shooters or anybody who's high level at their craft, they're doing the simple things really well. And yeah, they may get in the weeds and work on specific things that they need to work on. But overall, simple will always work. And you're going to, if you want to get really good at squat, bench, and deadlift, you're going to have to do those things over and over again. And good training looks monotonous. And that's what it is. So if you're somebody that constantly needs new exercise every single week, you need to take a look in the mirror and just understand that if you look at I saw this thing, George Kittle, obviously NFL tight end. He talked about it on, I forget what podcast, but he was talking about how he knows he's ready to play football because every Monday, I think it was every Monday, he would front squat 315 for a set of three. He would just go 135, 225, 275, 315. And that's an NFL tight end making millions of dollars. So the average person working out in a public gym or even in their garage gym, you don't need these special exercises every single week just for variety. So you need to execute these simple movements over and over, just like you would work on any type of skill, because lifting a barbell with good technique is a skill. It's a learned skill. It's not day one, you're just automatically great at back squatting, bench pressing, and deadlift. It takes repetition over and over again and doing the same movement or same variation of a movement for infinity. That's what it takes. So if you're burning out because there's not enough variety in your program, that's more on you, man. Like that's on you, because my job and our jobs are to give people all the tools to be successful. I've made all the mistakes. Like the reason why I write programs the way I do is because I've made millions of mistakes in my strength and conditioning career, but now I've gotten to the point where I know what my bread and butter movements are, and I'm going to stick with them. So that is my approach to just like, if you're dealing with mental fatigue from training, the new sexy exercise is not what's going to get you to that end goal. It's just the execution day in and day out and just following a training program. But it's twofold as well. Like if you're on a training program and you don't know why, we've talked about this before, like what every strength coach should be able to answer the why of every aspect of their program. If they can't answer those questions, then you have reason to jump off that program because maybe you're on the wrong one. But there's a purpose to everything you do. And I typically keep in the same main movement pretty much all year round. Like if there's a squat pattern, like if squat's going to be my movement, it's probably going to be either a back squat, front squat, box squat, some variation of a squat, but it's not constantly switching every single week. So it's twofold. You have to understand the goal of the program. It has to meet your goals. and then just go execute it. If it checks all those boxes, then just go and execute it. And then in 3, 6, 9, 12 months, you'll get somewhere. So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's tough for people to hear, especially if you're not in the field and what, like you say it all the time, people don't know what they don't know. But like boring and simple is effective, because you said if we're sitting there just trying new exercise, whatever else, we can't get good at that pattern because there's a learning curve to it and we're not giving our body time to adapt with it. And I think that's why it's so important when we look at simple, consistent training. Just because, yes, it can get boring. I just said that. But if you understand that end state, like you are breaking it down with that goal in mind to be the absolute best at that end state. And like you understand that that simple training and getting good at those movements is what's going to get you there. And I think you referenced it in there when we do talk about changing it up. We're just manipulating it very slightly. I was talking to some individuals last week and they were talking about like, oh, well, it kind of gets boring doing some of these movements. And my response back was, well, we have to do those basic movements because, for one, we can't progress out of those because we have not mastered those skills yet. And then if we do want to progress out of them, we're not progressing to something crazy. If it's something like a lunge, maybe the next block we're doing a split squat. Maybe we're doing a Bulgarian split squat, so where we're still working that unilateral movement. It's just manipulated ever so slightly to create a little bit more adaptation. And then that consistently stacking, I know we've said before, stacking sessions, stacking weeks, stacking blocks on top of each other is what is going to get you to really your end goal and to perform the best at that state.
Yeah, and just because you're doing the same movement over and over again, the way I typically program is I'll manipulate the intensity, the volume, whatever my goal is for the phase. That's where you can get creative, is the sets and reps and the intensity of the movement. And then I usually give more variety with my accessory movements. I keep in the same accessory for 4 weeks straight. For the first 2 weeks, it's at one particular volume. So just for example, let's say I'm doing 3 sets of 10 each leg reverse lunge. I do that for the first 2 weeks. Second 2 weeks, it may be 3 by 8. And then that's 4 weeks right there. Then the next 4 weeks, it's a new exercise, but it's still single leg, like you mentioned. It could be, all right, instead of a reverse lunge, maybe it's a forward lunge, maybe it's a lateral lunge. And then you're just keep manipulating the exercise, but I let it work for a month, because the first time you do a movement, you're not going to be great at it. So it's going to take you time to figure out the weights that are appropriate for some sort of fatigue to set in and get some results out of it. And then you can give some variety. So, because your body is an amazing thing, it's going to adapt to whatever stimulus you put on it, but it doesn't mean you always have to get this crazy exercise and constantly switch it up. I know, I'm sure you're the same way, Ben. Like if I walked into the weight room and I constantly had to think of like new exercise to do every single week, I'm not going to buy into that either. It's too much work. It's almost like you would get
Annoying.
Yeah, it's annoying. You get writer's block. You have to just have, all right, trust the process. People say that all the time, obviously, but like trust the program, trust the process, execute those simple movements the way they're supposed to, and then just keep trying. Like you could stay with the same accessory movements and just keep moving the needle and adding more weight to the accessory movements, and you'll probably get better. Yes, the more advanced you get, you have to pull out different tools out of the toolbox, but for the most part, training is pretty simple. Like it's just, the hardest part for a lot of people is just showing up day in and day out. If you're not consistently getting up and training every single day and you're missing days and things like that, you can't judge the program. If you're constantly missing days of a program, just execute every single day that's on there, as long as it fits with your goals and you buy into it, and then just go. That's it. Simple as that. So yeah, the burnout thing is, I think there's a lot of different areas you can go with it and reasons for it, but it's most of the time people just don't have the patience to stick with one particular thing for a long period of time.
Yeah, and I don't think, and I want to get back to something in a second, but I don't think a lot of people want to hear this. But the burnout aspect to me a lot of times comes down to discipline. And I know Andy said it on here before, like you're going to have more days where you don't feel like training than you're like, hey, I feel awesome. I can't absolutely wait to train today. There's more days of you talking yourself up like, hey, this is what I need to do. Like this is what the program says. I'm staying on track, to where a lot of it to me comes down to that discipline aspect. Like right now during my sessions, I have on Tuesday, it's a 30-minute run midday to expose myself to the heat. That is not something I look forward to doing, but I understand the need for me to do it with what my goals are. Nothing about that is fun or sexy to go with it. It's 30 minutes of, I cannot wait for this to end, but I know I need to do it.
Yeah. And the other frustrating part is you do that workout. It's not like you do the workout and all of a sudden you take your shirt off and there's visible abs after one particular run. Like that takes time to get results. So that's also the frustrating part is like, oh, I got to do this workout. I'm not going to see a difference after this one workout. Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's about you showing up and doing that workout that you don't want to do over and over and over again. And then you're going to look back in a year from now and you're going to be like, oh, all those days that I didn't want to show up and that I actually did show up, now I got somewhere. And that's half the battle nowadays. Just show up, and I think Joe Rogan's talked about it on his podcast before. Like if you have a kid who's like a savage, like if I have kids myself, so I'm like trying to do a good job, obviously as a father, and if your kid is a little bit of a savage, he's just going to run through the majority of people just because everybody is looking for just the easiest route. But sometimes I think Sorinex was big with like simple, not easy. We were talking about this on the team lunch pail chat, like getting up early to get your training session in before work. Simple, not easy. Preparing all your clothes, your training gear the night before. Simple, not easy. Eating healthy or meal prepping for the week. That's a simple task. Definitely not easy. And results are very simple to get, but again, they're not easy. So I always like that from Sorinex, like that's just simple, not easy, because it's so true. Like if you want results, it is truly simple, but it's definitely not easy for most people. So
yeah, and it really is. And then once you build those habits of all those that you just mentioned, I think it does become like, I think everything else becomes easier around it. Like, yes, your alarm going off to work out like on a Monday is not always going to be easy. But for one, I truly enjoy training before work earlier in the day because there's no other distractions that came up during the day. It's solely me there. I can focus exactly what I have to do. Preparing your clothes the night before, I started doing that a few years back. It's so much easier for me in the morning when everything's right there. I'm not rifling through trying to find a sock. Like it's one less thing to think about in the morning. And then it goes to the food prep. It's one less thing to think about. You know, you talked about earlier in it, like I don't want to get in there and have to think like I'm doing this movement, I'm doing this movement. It's very simple when, hey, I know I'm having 2 chicken thighs and vegetables and some rice tonight for dinner. You know why I know I'm doing that? Because it's exactly what I had the night before. Again, I know I've said it on here before. It's a little easier for me as a single guy to have that consistency with it. But when you build those habits, I think it makes everything easier. But it's not easy building those habits and doing it consistently.
Because there's always an excuse. Everybody's busy. Everybody's busy. Everybody's got responsibilities, whether you're single, whether you have a family, something's always going to come up. But if it's important to you, you'll figure it out, you'll make it work. And that's just part of it. Like I couldn't work out this morning. I had things going on. So now, same thing. I have to do a workout right after this. Do I want to do that? It is 110 degrees out and I'm working out in a not air conditioned garage. Yeah, it's going to be brutal, but it's part of who I am. I'm going to do it. It's going to get it done, but it's not like I'm looking forward to it. Like it's just things that's part of my life. That's what I got to do. So figure it out. So,
yeah. And I think I want to kind of go back on that we were touching on a little bit is like these days you don't want to train. What makes it much easier to actually, I'm not going to say easier, what makes you get that training in is when you do have that end goal, whether it's you putting some sort of competition on the calendar, whether it's you setting the example for your kids. When you have a reason why you're training, it makes those days that you don't want to train get you there. And again, that does come down to the discipline aspect of it. But if you have no reason why you are training, then those days that you don't want to be there, which is going to be more times than not, it's so easy to say, all right, well, I'm going to watch Netflix. Or, hey, I'm going to go get a McFlurry or whatever else. Could tell you last time I did got a McFlurry. But yeah, have a reason why you're training. Whether that's setting an example, whether that's something on the calendar, have the reason why you train.
Because it matters. Because let's say you sign up for something, whether it's a powerlifting meet, whether it's a a marathon, half marathon, ultra, you know you got some more skin in the game. So if you miss that session that you don't want to do and you continuously miss those sessions, those are miles you're not accumulating. And then that's going to come out in 6 months or however long away that event is. All those sessions matter. There's a reason for every single one of them. So if you're missing session or missing sessions and making excuses, it's going to come out in that thing, that goal that you had. So having that goal, you're less likely to miss that session or eat poorly or something like that. So again, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be just a goal, a body fat goal, but put a hard date on it. Like, again, I'm a proponent of putting yourself out there and competing on like some sort of public stage, even if it's a small local meet, local run, whatever, because it just keeps you honest. And it's like, here's the date that I'm trying to achieve this goal. Whereas if you just say, I just want to lose 10 pounds of body fat or whatever, 5% of my body fat, but you don't put a hard deadline on it, it's a lot easier to make those excuses because, oh, if
You're
I
saying the same thing 2 years later.
yeah, exactly. I still want to, I want to lose 5% of my body fat. Well, if you put a hard date on it, you're going to buy into it more and then you're going to follow actionable steps. So then you hit that goal. So yeah, I get it. It's tough, but you just got to figure it out. And training is not sexy. Training is monotonous. And most of the time, you're not going to want to do it. So if you're listening to us, you're probably not that person. So good for you. And keep training hard and you'll
Yeah,
figure
keep
it
getting
out.
after it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like that date on the calendar, whether it's you going to the beach, you want to have your shirt off with your family, take pictures and not look back and not be happy with yourself. Or, for my sake, I've referenced on here a couple of times, I'm doing a high rocks competition in the fall. Embarrassment is what drives me. So there's plenty of days I don't want to run. Like I said, Tuesdays I have to run midday. I don't want to do it. But the thought of going to a competition and getting embarrassed or not being able to complete something is what drives me. So I would much rather have sessions where I'm like feel like complete shit because the session was so hard than to get there in November and feel embarrassment that I wasn't able to compete at something that I had so much time to train up for. So it's important to find too what drives you and what motivates you. So embarrassment, not wanting to be embarrassed is something that motivates me. And I know there's a lot of people that feel that way, but if that's not you, you need to find what motivates you to continue training with that as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Embarrassment is a great driver of intent and intensity. So, yeah, I respect that. That's a good one. I like that. Embarrassment works. So, but yeah, like because you asked at the beginning, like, remind me how you delivered the question again, as far as like the was it consistency or just training burnout, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, with training burnout, if we want to call it that, like just always be like, as you're finishing one program, think about, all right, if you don't have anything on the calendar, think about what the next thing you're trying to accomplish is as well. So you're stay ahead of it because you could be great for 3 to 6 months because you're on this set training plan, you have these goals, but then you kind of lose track, life gets busy, work gets busy, and then all of a sudden you don't have a goal, you're not thinking about what's next, so then you feel like training doesn't mean anything. So you got to stay ahead of yourself as well as you're finishing up one plan. Make sure you always have something ready to go. Obviously with Modern Athlete, we're always trying to recreate if you're on a team with us, we're steering the ship. But for yourself, always have that next carrot to try to chase because again, mental toughness and discipline are definitely waning skills or things like that. So, yeah, you could be really mentally tough, getting up early for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden that goes away, and then you get into another rut, and it's just this cyclical thing. Good thing is you can always go back to it, but I understand that a lot of people, everybody goes through it where yeah, you're great, you're consistent, and then all of a sudden life throws a curveball at you, and then you fall off track. Just remember those things because they do wane over time. So because I'm sure when you were in college, you'd always hear coaches like, I want to train mental toughness and do all those things. But at the end of the day, mental toughness is very much things that are behind the scenes, that it's not rah, rah, always the hardest workout. It's behind the scenes doing the right things. Like I try to teach my kids all the time, like be a good person, whether somebody is watching you or not. So if the teacher's got their back turned, make sure you're acting the same way, whether they're facing you or their back is turned. Well, it's the same way. But yeah, hard workouts are cool, like build some resiliency, like pushing through this hard, physically hard thing. But it's also just as hard not to, yeah, like you did that hard workout with a bunch of people in a morning training group, but then all of a sudden at night you have that slight mental weakness, and that's where you trip up and your diet falls off, and then it throws everything off. So mental toughness is something you got to keep working on and keep sharpening, because that blade can become dull real quick.
Yeah, I like that you reference those college workouts with the mental toughness, and yeah, there is something to the like 5:30 workouts. It's cold, getting through it. Like it's difficult to do. But I don't think that all the time builds mental toughness. I was talking to somebody about it a couple weeks ago, and I really liked what they said. They were saying that runners are some of the most mentally tough people out there. Like you don't think about necessarily in like people probably hear that first time, dude, what? And then you think about it, what do you do to get like what are these individuals doing most of their training? Competitive runners, like they are going out there and running. Like running's not fun. I've been running pretty consistently. I haven't finished a run where I'm like, man, I really enjoyed that. But so these competitive runners, they're running, logging all these miles, and then what do you do for your competition day? You go run again, and it's not like Boston Marathon. There'll be some cameras out there, but the majority of these competitions, you're just running. It's not like football where you go play a game, crowds there, anything else. You are practicing running by yourself more times than not. And then competition day, go run.
Yeah.
So
and there's so many opportunities to have that little weakness come into your mind and sit on your shoulder. Like it's hot out. The humidity's awful. My pacing is thrown off. My heart rate is thrown off because of all these conditions. It's very easy just to be like, I'm done, or hop off the treadmill, turn off on the treadmill, make every excuse. I 100% agree. Like if you're training distance events and just running, rucking, whatever it is, that definitely takes a whole different mental capacity. Again, different sports, but powerlifters, I get the mental toughness aspect of that, especially if you're an elite level powerlifter. The weight can kill you. So you have to be pretty mentally tough to get under heavy weight. I'm not downplaying that by any means, but you have to strain for a couple seconds versus you're running for hours on end with nobody around. Even though it's most of the time it's like a slower pace if you're doing easy pace runs, but there's a lot of opportunities to be like, I don't feel like doing this. I want to go back to bed, or I want to just be done with this run. And I have a 10-mile run planned. I'm going to do 6. That's good enough, or whatever it is. So yeah, I 100% agree with the conditioning aspect. It's mentally tough to get through that.
Yeah, I will say, like I referenced it earlier, like everyone needs to find what works for them. And so here's the thing I always tell myself when I'm doing a long distance run. My long distance runs will be hour 15, hour 30. So not like something crazy that some of these guys are doing. And this sounds so stupid, and it's going to sound stupid to a lot of people. But what I tell myself the whole time is I don't want to do it. But the whole time, all I do is tell myself, just don't stop. All you have to do is keep moving. And because it is easy just to stop, especially you're there by yourself, I just continually tell myself, just don't stop. Just don't stop. And then you get into, all right, cool, I'm over halfway. So I'm on the downhill of it. Oh, I only have 15 minutes left. Oh, I only have 10 minutes left. All I have to do is just not stop for 10 minutes. And that's what a lot of times I tell myself. Or if and I've used this one before, this one fuels me a lot, is if I'm running on a treadmill and I see people that I think are lazy and I want to stop, I'll tell myself like, that MFer over there would stop. I'm not going to stop. And it works. It's not going to work for everybody. It is what works for me, though.
Yeah. Or just put a towel over the time and just don't look at it. Just keep going.
I'm so bad at that because then I'll just like peek through because then I start like looking at my distances and my pace, and especially if I'm on the treadmill because my Garmin doesn't like the pace on the Garmin on the treadmill inside never matches up correctly for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm bad. I'll still peek at that towel.
Yeah.
And then I'll do simple stuff too. Like if I'm doing, an hour 15, I'll have my gel the 35, 40 minute mark to where mentally I'll trick myself like, oh, I'm getting the carbohydrates now. Like, oh, this next part's about to be easy because I just refueled. So like whatever you have to do to trick yourself, just don't stop.
Yep. Just keep moving. Just keep swimming, as Dory would say, or from Finding Nemo. I think it was Dory that said it. Just keep swimming. So yeah, just keep
Yeah,
swimming.
throw it there.
Just keep swimming. Just keep running. Just keep going. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Cool. Jimmy, any other things from the mental side you want to leave people with this week?
No, just understanding that everybody's dealing with the same thing. Like we do it for a living. We still don't want to train. We still don't want to squat every week. We still don't want to bench every week, deadlift every week. But when you look at high level competitors in any craft that somebody's trying to get good at, they do the simple things over and over again every single week. And that's how you get really good at your craft. So, same thing with training. You're going to see the same exercises. A good training program is going to have the same exercise over and over again. Yeah, the volume and intensities may change, but that's what should keep you going. Like, oh, all right, I'm hitting a different rep scheme, or I'm trying to beat my previous number. Just put the blinders on and just keep your head down and keep going, because good training is monotonous, and just fall in love with the monotony of the process.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Good stuff, Jimmy. So that's our episode this week. If you guys are interested in training with us, make sure to check out the link in the description, and we'll get you guys on track to hit those goals you're looking for. Have a good one.
Thanks, man.